It's 1 minute after 2. This is Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Today, Tuesday, 29th of June, 2021. How are you? I hope your day has been good. This is Political Arena towards an inclusive governance in Nigeria. It's our series 2 starting today, and would like to say a big thank you to the Nigerian Women Trust Fund, who came up with this initiative, and supported by Open Society Initiative of West Africa. Okay, my name is Tung Okiwale Shonaya, and it's my pleasure to be doing this with you. So today we are looking at domestication and enforcement of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. And I will be doing justice to this with Charity Anaja, a gender expert, and Omolara Oriye, human rights lawyer. And so what we can tell you is that only 18 states out of the 36 states in Nigeria, including the Federal Capital Territory, has adopted the VAPP Act, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which was passed into law in May 2015. Now, the act was passed into law to eliminate and prohibit all forms of violence, discrimination against persons, and to provide maximum protection and effective remedies for victims and punishment of offenders. Now, violence is one of the hindrances to women's participation in governance. Some women are pressurized to step down in favor of a male candidate, and could be victims of threats and physical violence if they don't give in. Now, despite the fact that some political parties' constitutions and manifestos showed the inclusion of gender-friendly provisions, they are not well respected. These constitutions and manifestos are not implemented at all. And this is what we want to discuss on Political Arena towards an inclusive governance in Nigeria Series 2 today. Domestication and enforcement of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. Now, we would like you to be part of this conversation, and so the phone lines will be opened shortly, and that would be 07000 917 917. But in the meantime, we need you to send your comments or your observations via our social media handle at WFM917 on Facebook and on Instagram. And of course, you can also WhatsApp or send a text to 0703 175 6537, and you can listen to us from anywhere in the world at www.wfm917.com. As I said to you, I have two guests who will be doing justice to the Domestication and Enforcement of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. The gender expert, Charity Anaja, is already with me. Hi, Charity.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And you?
I'm very good, thank you. Thank you. So Charity, you heard me talking about the VAPP Act, right?
Yes,
which
yes.
is only active, adopted. We can't even say active, adopted in only 18 states out of the 36 states of Nigeria. Charity,
Yes.
what
Yes.
steps can we take to ensure that the VAPP Act is domesticated and implemented in every state of Nigeria?
Thank you once again for having me on this show. We all have the understanding or an understanding of what the VAPP Act represents, especially as it relates to vulnerable groups in the society. This act is supposed to protect women, children, even the men against all forms of violence and exploitation. Now, it is said that since 2015, the VAPP has been domesticated, ratified and domesticated in Nigeria, and yet so many states are yet to adopt them as living documents or as laws in their respective states for one reason or the other. Now, the role we can play as civil society is that we need to keep advocating for the passage of these bills in the state. you will agree with me that violence does not know region. In this part of Africa where we come from, we have patriarchy, that is male dominance, which has caused a lot of power imbalance in the society. And violence is a way of manifesting this power imbalance, which causes a lot of people to, live under, they cannot attain their proper human rights with this kind of narrative being in place. So violence against persons prohibition bill is a bill that is friendly to all sectors of society. And our own argument today, or our submissions, is that for it to be properly implemented or adopted, there is more to be done at the federal level. More at even the governing councils, or where you have organizations that cover these governors, so that they can let them understand the provisions of this act. From where I stay in Adamawa State, it has been passed but not yet attempted by the governor. And I know that more has been done in the area of the governing council of the northern state, speaking to them and telling them that this bill is a friendly one, it should be adopted. And so I feel that it's a holistic approach from the part of the federal, from the part of the governors themselves, and from the part of the citizenry, which is the civil society representing the people. We really need to raise our voices consistently and in synergy to let our various governors know the provisions and the advantages we have by adopting these laws. The thing that most of these states have is that they have other laws that have similarities, but there is none that can actively address issues of violence like this.
So, Charity, let me just quickly interrupt you. We have a call, and the person may just want to address this with you. Hello, hi, good morning, afternoon. Hello? Okay, all right. We had a call there. I'm hoping that the person will call us back on 07000 917 917. Charity, you said something that you feel that we should take this back to the federal level. But I feel that since the VAPP Act itself, right, has been adopted, okay, it's now down to each governor, each government, each state. That is what I feel, to do what they need to do. I know you're saying that we need to put more pressure, but how do we, maybe I should be saying, how do we hold the state government accountable to ensure that the acts are implemented and strictly applied? Or maybe I shouldn't even be saying that. How do we hold your state government, for instance, Adamawa and others that are yet to adopt it? How do we get them to adopt this? What do we need to do?
I think it's more of advocacy, because much of this lies on political will. We need to have the buy-in of the governor to see the need for the adoption of this law. As I said earlier, we have other laws that address like the penal codes that are in existence in most of the states. With this penal code, a lot of governors feel that there is no need to bring in a duplicating law.
Okay.
But there is need to understand that the VAPP has a very different perspective to addressing violence. And this is what governors should know. So the civil society have a great role to play. Women groups, the media, religion, so we are there so many stakeholders that can actually speak to the governors to say that, look, this is a different law. It compensates, it sees gender from the lens of male and female. It actually has a compensatory plan. It looks into it holistically. Public and private life. It is just a holistic document. It captures everything. So there is more of advocacy and political will on the part of the governors. And the wives of the governors are not even left out of it. They have a role to play. Direct influence.
So I'm glad that you mentioned the governor's wives. I was going to say that, but let's quickly take this. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you. Please bring the volume down. Please switch off your volume totally so we can hear you well. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. Okay. Again, that call has we had to end that sometimes when the volume is on. Please, when you are phoning in on Political Arena, can we ask you to make sure your volume is off totally so that we can hear you. This is Women Radio, WFM 91.7. Towards an inclusive governance is what we're looking at, an initiative of Nigerian Women Trust Fund, supported by Osiwa, Open Society Initiative of West Africa. And today we're looking at domestication and enforcement of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. Yes, we want to see how we can domesticate this in every state of Nigeria and how we can ensure this is enforced in every state of Nigeria. I have with me Charity Anaja, who is a gender expert. And Charity, I love the fact that you are relating this to Adamawa, because it's important for us to relate it to every state that is outstanding to domesticate and implement this. You mentioned the wives of the governor, and I'm aware that there's a Nigerian Wives Forums, Governor's Wives Forum. Yes, yeah. Governor's Wives Forum, and they are also very hot on this. I was just going to say that, do we need to involve the wives of the governors? Because once their wives understand what they are doing, we cannot take it away from them that they have a way of relating with their husband, to have the power to get this domesticated in their states.
Yes, absolutely. The women have a thought, and men, while they are dealing with, should I say, macro areas of governance, women touch on with life directly. And when it comes to issues of violence, you will agree with me that the women and girls bear the brunt, women, girls, children, aged, vulnerable groups bear the brunt of violence in every society. These are areas that are naturally of interest to the women folk. A man may be dealing with infrastructure, development, and all service delivery, and when it comes to things that affect life directly, a woman naturally has that inclination to be interested in those areas. And that is one law that touches the life of persons directly. If you look at the law, be it the past, be it the original, it looks at the lives of people directly, violence against persons. So the women have a way of talking to their husbands, using their own platform of being wives and using other women groups to directly influence it. Like in Adamawa State, just like I always have said, the wife of the governor has played a major role in ensuring that bill was passed on the floor. This happened just 3 months ago. The bill the act was domesticated in Nigeria 2015, but it took us just 3 months ago to have it passed on the floor, and I know the role the wife of the governor played. In fact, it became an issue of urgency in the state to get it passed on the floor. In no short time, it passed all the reading. And I feel, you look at Ekiti State where you have this TIGN, it will always be a reference point.
Absolutely.
She's a champion to the passage of this act. And other states that have domesticated it, you will see that the women were not silent, their voices were loud and consistent on the matter.
Absolutely. And
it was passed. So the women always have a touch to areas that affect the life of women, children, and vulnerable groups. So women have a role, and the Women's Forum, Governor's Wives Forum, I think they are working on that, and I think that more can be done to ensure that it is domesticated in all the states.
Thank you. I mean, we cannot take away or undermine the role that the wives of the governors are taking. Like you mentioned, Irilubi Sefayemi is really hot, is a gender activist, as you know, that has no apologies at all. And we can see the effect of her role and that of her husband in protecting women and girls in the state. The same thing in Edo State. We can see what the governor's wife, Obaseki, is also doing when it comes to this. And I also need to talk about the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. She may not come out publicly in the media, but she also takes a very, very, very strategic, silent role working with the governors.
People now, in Adamawa State, she's from Adamawa, and her voice has been loud.
Yes. So we cannot take away the roles of the women, and we just need to keep engaging, like you said. This is towards an inclusive governance in Nigeria, Series 2, an initiative of Nigerian Women Trust Fund supported by Open Society Initiative of West Africa. I have with me Charity Anaja, a gender expert from Adamawa, and we're looking at getting the VAPP Act domesticated and enforced in every state of Nigeria. At the end of the day, it benefits everybody, not just women. It benefits the society if we domesticate and implement this. Charity, by the way, the numbers to call to speak to Charity is 07000 917 917. And remember, when you phone, make sure your volume is totally off. Now, Charity, 2023 is round the corner. How can we begin to strategize on ways to avoid violence against female candidates or even female voters? We saw what happened in Kogi State. We saw what happened in Ekiti State. Wherever there is election, we see what happens. Violence is a tool that is used to deter, to discourage women, either as a voter or as a candidate. What other strategies can we employ for 2023? Hi, Charity. Okay, this is Women Radio, WFM 91.7. It's 17 minutes after 2, and I've been talking to Charity Anaja, a gender expert from Adamawa, and we're talking about the need to ensure the need to have the VAPP Act domesticated in every state of Nigeria. As it is today, we stand that we only have 18 states out of the 36 states of Nigeria that has domesticated the act itself. Obviously, this act was passed into law in 2015, and it's to eliminate and prohibit all forms of violence, discrimination against persons. It's not just about women. It's just to protect anybody that is a victim of domestic violence. Charity, I have you back, and I thank you. Are you there? Okay, all right. Charity Anaja will be back shortly, and I mean, feel free to phone in and let us know what you think about. Is the VAPP Act domesticated in your state? Let me even start by asking. Maybe that's a starting point for us all. The numbers to call: 07000 917 917. Now let us know, is a VAPP Act domesticated in your state? If you do not know if it is domesticated, then we will check, and if it is not domesticated, we will tell you what we need to do to put a little bit of positive pressure on your governor to ensure that it is done. Charity, hi.
Hello. Sorry,
thank you very much. No, that's okay. So, Charity, what I did was to just post this to the listener, and I'm saying that, look, if you live in a state in Nigeria where the VAPP Act is not domesticated, we need to work with the members of the community and advocate and put a little bit of positive pressure on each governor, on the governor of the state that is yet to be domesticated, so that we can get them to do this, right?
Yes, and I like the highlight on positive pressure. we do not fight the powers that be. We can only positively speak to them and make them understand what this has to do for us. Yes.
Yes, and as I said, the VAPP Act is not just for women; it's for everybody. It's to protect everybody. Male, female, young, old,
aged, everyone.
Thank you. Charity, 2023 is just round the corner. How do we begin to strategize to avoid violence against female candidates and female voters? We know that because of violence, a lot of women do not want to be involved in politics, either as a player, and sometimes they don't even want to go out and vote. So what do we need to do for 2023 to be a safe space for any woman to go out and contest and vote?
Well, 2023 is like yesterday, if you ask me, and we need to have hands on deck. We have had several elections before now that have been marred with heavy violence. Lives have been lost. A lot has happened. Look at Abiola. She lost her life during her election. We have had peace corpers that were said as ad hoc staff that were raped and killed. We have had Deni Saraki who had an assassination attempt on her life. So
same with Abiodun Olujimi as well, and the Kogi woman.
So many women have had threats, and women at this point are already apprehensive about their security and the concerns about the capacity of those that are supposed to protect them. So I think what we should first do, it's not in all my submissions today, I wouldn't stop mentioning advocacy. One is that we should start talking to the police force, begin to train the police to be able to address issues of electoral violence, pre-election, election day, post-election, throughout the election cycle. Even at the party level, there is violence against women. But more is pronounced during the times that cast the voting. And so we need to start talking to security agencies that are supposed to protect the lives of women. To begin to train. You will agree with me that there's a lot of distraction on the police now. But with 2023 at the corner, there should be some deliberate action towards training them to be able to protect the life of everyone that is contesting, of everyone that is going out of their houses to vote on that day. So that the vote can be competitive, free, fair, and credible. The media also has a role to play. When we begin to preach the message of peace, vote not war, no person's vote is what anybody's like. The National Orientation Agency and even women groups can start sponsoring programs like you are doing now to begin to sensitize the public about what our votes mean to us. You know, then we will begin to minimize or prevent or totally minimize the incidences of violence. People will now have eyes all over the place to see anything that triggers violence before, during, or after the election. And we also have the political parties and the election umpires that have a major role to play. Now I go back to the VAPP document. If it has been domesticated in Nigeria, that it should be a living document for all the political parties and even the election umpire. Any party or any candidate under any party that uses any form of violence or thuggery or monopoly of violence to want to seize power, such a party should be sanctioned by INEC. These are the deliberate steps I believe that INEC can take. That whichever party has incidences of violence, there should be some sort of sanction.
Absolutely.
And under the party, any candidate who uses violence in any form to intimidate anyone, either man or woman, should be disqualified. When we have such laws on ground and there are scapegoats, you find out that we begin to work by the rules. It may not be an overnight success, but fear of being sanctioned would make us stay on the lane and do what we are supposed to do. So INEC has a major role to play. Inter-Party Advisory Council has a major role to play. We should start using this language more often than ever. It is not just about running, but having peaceful elections. Because what is the credibility of an election that is violent?
Thank you. You know what you have done, Charity? You've just taken two questions I wanted to ask you. You've taken it out of my heart, and I'm still going to. I wanted to say that impunity fosters more violence, and it allows the perpetrator to go unpunished. We've seen this happen. How do we ensure that perpetrators of violence against women are penalized regardless of their political positions or financial status?
That is it. They should be sanctioned and they should be tried under international standards. That does not have to fear them losing their life. When we have such narratives on ground that are followed, you find out that people get scared of even running for office. Those that feel that violence is the only way of snatching power or of grabbing power wouldn't want to run anymore. I had a meeting with someone and I said, how did you vote? He said he voted with his gun in Edo State. I now gone and carry vote. What kind of narrative? I'm speaking with impunity. People tell you that they are voting and they do not have voters registration. They know that they are going to that field to snatch boxes where there is supposed to be security. We have not yet produced scapegoats. By the time we start producing scapegoats that are tried people being, disqualified from the race, parties being, parties that take their tickets from them. You find out that people will begin to gradually start playing by the rules of the game.
We really need
measures. Punitive measures.
Punitive measures. Thank you. Yes. Now, what can the government now do to ensure that? And when I say government, I mean it at all levels: federal, state, local. What can they do to ensure that women are protected before, during, and after elections? Because women are prone to attacks before, during, and even after elections. An example is a clear case of Salome Abu, who today now we're using the word late for her.
She's
in 2019. Yes. What can we get? What can the government do to protect women? What else?
You just said it before now. Irrespective of the party in power, most of the time when you look at this narrative, it is the party in power using their power of incumbency or using the apparatus of the state to dominate opposition and using that power to violate the rights of other people. Every state is under a law. Every governor is under a law. Every human being is under a law. So whoever violates this law should be tried.
Absolutely.
We have a federal government who has power over every individual. We are working under law. There is nobody that is immune. If we have this in place and there are scapegoats, I support punitive measures. If we have to have women and vulnerable groups protected, we need to be deliberate. We need to go a step further. We do not stay behind and say things will work. If things are not working, we should speak up for ourselves now. But this is not the time for women groups to be silent. 2023 is by the corner. 2023 is a campaign year. So 2021 is the time when women start talking, we start hearing women's voices, deafening voices through the media.
I mean, Charity,
you to the police.
I mean, look, I was reading in Premium Times today, former South African President Jacob Zuma was sentenced to 15 months in prison. He was found guilty of contempt of court by the Constitutional Court. I think that our judiciary just needs to work for us more than any other thing. It has to work for us. Now, a message came in. I guess the call wasn't coming through. A message came in for you from Comrade, and it says, we have the electoral bill signed, electoral bill signed into law. We should get the electoral bill signed into law, as this will solve issues on electoral processes. I think you said you spoke about police. What about signing electoral bill into law, which is the utmost thing? Do you have anything to say on that before I just say thank you to you, because we need to go now?
There's an electoral bill. There's an INEC gender policy, which I'm very much aware of. All the, in fact, INEC and parties have manifestos and the constitution, which apparently protect everywhere within the electoral domain. What the problem is now is implementation. But that electoral bill, when it is signed, when legislations are in place, other things follow. We can now hold powers that be accountable based on written documents. So I agree with what somebody has said.
Thank you, Charity. All I picked up from most of the things you were saying is advocacy and implementation. Advocacy, implementation. Thank you very much, Charity. Thanks for talking to us on Women Radio. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Towards an inclusive governance in Nigeria, Series 2 is an initiative of Nigerian Women Trust Fund and supported by Open Society Initiative of West Africa. And we're very grateful for doing the second series on political arena on Women Radio. It's 2:30 today, Tuesday, 29th of June, 2021. We are looking at domestication and enforcement of the Violent Against Persons Prohibition Act, which will benefit the whole of Nigeria. It's not just about women, it's just making our environment as safe and secure as it can be. We need these laws in place, we need to implement these laws, but as I said earlier, only 18 states out of the 36 states of Nigeria including the Federal Capital Territory, has adopted the VAPP Act. We need to get all states in Nigeria to adopt the VAPP Act, and we need to ensure that this act is not just adopted and that it is implemented to protect all of us in Nigeria. The numbers to call, as I said, is 07000 917 917. And now at 2:30, I have Omolara Oriye, who is a human rights lawyer, with me. Hi, Omolara.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you so much. How are you?
We're very good. Thank you for joining us on Women Radio this afternoon. So we're looking at thank you. We're looking at domesticating and enforcing the VAPP Act. We only have 18 states that has domesticated this. The aim and agenda is to get every state in Nigeria to domesticate this and ensure that it is implemented. We know that this will benefit everybody. Now, the first question I want to ask you is, which state are you from?
I'm from Ekiti State.
Oh, Ekiti State is a champion when it comes to this, and we have actually mentioned Ekiti State. Let me just go straight to the point then and ask you, how else can we hold our state government accountable to ensure that the acts are implemented and applied in I'm talking about the rest of the states that have not done that?
Yes. So, it's interesting because even the states that have done this, they still have, a job to implement this act, right? Laws are not just there for decoration. But let's talk about domestication and before we jump into implementation. So for the states that haven't adopted this act, what we must think about is that Nigerians need to be able to live in a country where accountability is held, at a higher thing. For example, when women are assaulted in the streets, when women are abused in domestic situations, it is incumbent upon the state government to take charge and ensure that justice is served. Now, let us not go into the concept of justice because then that changes everything. But this is a step that is so important for us to take as a people to even, number one, show commitment to the fact that Nigerian lives are important and deserve to be protected. Interestingly, the VAPP Act is centers women in an interesting way, but it's applicable to everyone. So, but I want to speak on the importance of the VAPP Act to the lives of women. For example, the Violence Against Persons Prohibitions Act redefines what it means for a person to be raped, right? And this definition is not just for us to read it, it's not just for the police to use it, it is for the courts of law to be able to apply these principles. It is also for society to be, aware, to be sensitized towards the importance of taking sexual and gender-based violence, taking it seriously. So for every state that wants us to believe, and I need state governments now in this regard, that want us to believe that they take the lives of Nigerians seriously, they must pass the VAPP Act. How do we get them to do this? We must continue to advocate. Unfortunately, there is no magic wand, right? Earlier today, I was having a discussion about the protection of lives and how we should not advise politicians. We should not be creating advocacy coalitions for politicians to do the job that they told us they were going to do, right? As a governor, as a person in charge of the affairs of the state, your job is not only to be important. It is to ensure the safety of life and property within that state. It is to ensure that women are not treated like second-class citizens. It is to ensure that everyone has access to not just social amenities, but also rights and privileges that protect them from violence, right? The Nigerian Constitution provides, for fundamental human rights in Chapter 4, which includes freedom from torture, cruel, and degrading treatment, right? What is rape? Cruel and degrading treatment. It is incumbent upon government officials to ensure that the Constitution is not only, affirmed through these laws, but also international human rights laws that we have assented to. For example, the African Charter, the Domestication and the Domestication Act, right? That also clearly provides non-discrimination, equality before the law, freedom from torture, cruel and degrading treatment, right? And so we have a responsibility to the people, but we also have a responsibility to international structures of human rights law, right? And genuinely, while I believe that politicians should not be cajoled and coaxed into doing their jobs, we must continue to advocate, because that is the gap that civil society, that activists and organizers must bridge within the system, right? Now, how do you get your government to domesticate this act? Continue to appeal to them. Organize. Ask them questions. Send them emails. That's why I appreciate it when entities like EIE and the others, publish, and sort of emergency GBV, for example, publish, the numbers and emails of these senators. Because look, at the end of the day, they are our people. We have employed them to look after our interests, right? Because what does democracy mean? It means a system of government that centers the power of the people.
Yes.
Right? It's so important for us to continue to advocate, right? But we must remember my baseline. The baseline is this: no one should be encouraged, cajoled, coddled, begged, or even threatened into doing their job. Unfortunately, that's the way we have found ourselves, right? So what we must do is to continue to advocate. How do we advocate? We must organize. We must declare clear intentions, clear questions, clear advocacy acts that we want these people to do. Now, we want you to pass the VAPP Act. What does this mean for the society? There are statistics everywhere about domestic violence, about gender-based violence, sexual violence as well in the country. And this on its own should be able to push the hand of politicians. But what we must do is to advocate to these people, not just advocate. We must start from the grassroots, right? And when I say grassroots,
Omolara, I want to, because we haven't got that much time, there are quite a number of questions we just want to throw at you. And what I'm loving most here is the fact that governors should not feel important. They were appointed, elected to serve the people and make their community safe and secure and provide the basic and necessary amenities. And that is what they're meant to do. We shouldn't sugarcoat and make them feel too important, Now, Jenny sent a message down here and said, Omolara, why are women groups not speaking up to support other women? Because I'm scared to go into politics because of what happened to that woman in Kogi in 2019. That is from a woman, Jenny. And then a message came here from a man, Comrade. He said, look at what happened to Salome Abu in 2019. Simply because she was in another political party. What has women done about it to get justice for her? So these are the kind of things I want us to look at, and it kind of ties with my question for you. 2023 is round the corner. How can we now begin to strategize to avoid violence against female candidates or even female voters? A lot of women really do want to be involved in politicking, in serving their people, in contesting elections, in voting, but they're scared because of the case of Salome Abu we've just mentioned. What do we do?
All right, so this is the thing. Unfortunately, I tend to, go into the bigger picture. Now, organizing for the protection of women in political processes cannot be something we do against 2023. There is a need to institutionalize and enforce gender equality on a general scale, right? The moment women in society are just as important as the men, the moment women in society are just as powerful as the men, we are able to solve these kinds of problems. Now, let's look at the Constitution, for example. The Constitution itself is faulty, right? It does not allocate any privileges, any powers to women. Men in the pronoun he in the Nigerian Constitution was mentioned over 300 times, right? However, the word woman was mentioned twice. And one of those 2 times, it was a discriminatory provision. So if the foundation is broken, what can we really build? So that's why the question of violence against women in politicking processes, in politics, goes straight back two, what is the role of women in society? Do we have power? Are we considered full human beings with rights and agency? Right? So that is step one. We must look at the foundation of all of this. Step two, unfortunately, now that we have found ourselves here, where the foundation is broken, what can we do? We must ensure that we create allies within the society. You know, I really don't like having this conversation as a short-term solution, because the solution to women's participation in politics in Nigeria cannot be done through shortcut means. It cannot be achieved through cosmetic kind of solutions. It must go to the root. In 2023, we must ensure that we continue to spread the news about the equality of women and men in society. Now, this is a short-term thing, right? Because at the end of the day, we want a society that is liberated, not a society that measures freedom and agency using men as a standard. Because there are many groups in society that require this level of freedom. Now, for 2023, what we must do is ensure that we protect women. As an institution, as government, right? There must be political will to ensure that women are not an afterthought in these spaces, to ensure that women are not an anomaly within these spaces. This goes all the way to the party level. If there are 2,000 women running within the same platform, it is impossible for political thugs to kill all 2,000 women. Right? Because we isolate women and only one person is just there, sticking out like a sore thumb, it is easier for them to be targeted. So number one, we must provide support for women to come into the mainstream, to contest elections, to be able to win elections, to be able to win over their constituents. Number two, there must be accountability for violence. For example, if the issue of Salome Abu has been addressed in 2019, that would have created some sort of caution to parties who are looking to perpetrate violence, right? But what do we have? No justice, no accountability. So,
okay, let me just quickly take this call on. Hello, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. Your name and where you're calling from, please.
My name is Victor. I'm calling from Ogun State.
Thank you, Victor. Go ahead and ask Omolara your question or your comment. Hello? Okay. Okay, all right. Omolara, let's continue. Let us continue to... let's continue to fire.
The first thing we must do is look at the big picture. What is the role of women in society? Where are the women in powerful positions? Where are the women in public offices, right? Number two, we must support women to run for office so that they're not sticking out like a sore thumb. So that you cannot just identify one and attack them. If the space is filled with women, it will be normalized over time, right? And this is not to coddle the sensibilities of sexists and misogynists. It is to say that since we do not have the foundational, requirements of society regarding women as equals in progress, then we must look at these other methods, right? Let more women run. When I say let more women run, I mean provide the support, both at the grassroots level and at the national level, right? Number three thing that I will say, I already mentioned that actually, accountability, right? People will continue to do things if there is no accountability. Impunity is one of the reasons why sexism and misogyny to the level of violence that takes away a woman's life has continued to persist. And that takes me right back to the VAPP Act. The VAPP Act is a tool for accountability. It's a tool that seeks to make people accountable for their actions, right? As long as we don't have accountability, we are unable to deter violent people from attacking women because of sexist reasons, right? So that is number three. Number four, normalize women with power. There needs to be a redistribution of power in society, right? There needs to be a redistribution of privileges, of agency, because at the end of the day, a woman without agency and a woman without power, which kind of can be derived from education, for example, educate women as much as we educate men, right? Also, also ensure that the education women are getting is not given through a gendered lens, right? Empower women the way you empower men, and see that those spaces absorb more women. in the grand scheme of things. But my original advice stands. There needs to be a change in the gender, in the way the Constitution of Nigeria regards women, right? There needs to be a fundamental overhaul. That way we are able to build on it, right? Whatever we are doing now, it's going to be cosmetic. It's going to be emergency actions if we are not able to build on a constitutional footing. So apart from that, we also must address socio-cultural, religious barriers against women, right? Those beliefs that continue to fuel the mindset that women are an add-on to society.
All right. Omolara, I need to just quickly interrupt. You know, the network is not good for a lot of people who wanted to ask you questions, and I'm just going to drop some of the questions here. Now, Flora said, how can we move forward when governors are capitalizing on public funds? There is serious food scarcity and nobody is talking about this. People spend a lot of money on basic needs every day. How can they be concerned about running for political positions without funds? That's coming from Flora. And I know that we're looking at domestication and implementation of VAPP Act. But, you know, this also, you know, you spoke about accountability. And just to support Flora, I want to add these two. Remember the NSARS. After the NSARS, foods were hoarded, stored into warehouses by a lot of governors. I think out of the 36 states, only 6 or 8 states were exonerated. Food were stored in warehouses. As of today, what did we do? What happened to those governors who hoarded the food? You know, where is the accountability coming from? And this is what Flora is talking about. There's too much poverty in the land. Would you like to say something to that?
I would like to start with the fact that socio-economic rights, right, in Nigeria, unfortunately, are not particularly justiciable. There are loopholes here and there. The question is this: who gets more affected by socio-economic inequalities? Women.
Women.
They are the ones who fend for families. They're the ones who. That is why I laugh when I see Nigerians on social media, you know, saying things that women don't raise homes. And I make bold to say that a lot of Nigerian women are the backbone of the community. They're the ones
in fact, it's not even you. Statistics have proven that women are the backbone of any, especially Nigerian economy, because women, we have more women as entrepreneurs, and you know, MSMEs is what holds this economy together.
Absolutely, and even apart from the economy, women are the reasons why men are able to achieve the things they do in society. The subjugation of women directly serves patriarchal power, because women have to stay at home. Women have to do all of these things and bridge the gap, right? For more men to be able to reach into the streets, into the towns, into the whatever, and be able to contribute to society or whatever, right? And we cannot continue to live in a society where women are used as a ladder, as a step that is abandoned when the job is done, right? So Flora is absolutely correct, right? When there is hunger in the land, women are affected twice. When there is any of these things in the land, women, and then this actually ties into funding for politics, right? Where do women get the money to meaningfully participate? I really like the idea of discussing socioeconomic realities and inequalities as a barrier to not just accountability, but also women participating fully in society. We are relegated largely to subordinate roles, to subjugated roles, to subservient roles, and we are unable to take out time, for example, to run for office, right? In a family where the woman is the one who looks after the children, who looks after whatever it is that is being done, she is unable to drop all of those things and go. Even in cases where you find that some men probably even have the time, they consider looking after their own children as a favor to the women, right? And so we must usurp the standard of society that subjugates women, that throws us on the curb and acts as if we are not important when we are the ones that when society is literally built upon our back. So yes, socioeconomic inequalities really affect these spaces, and it precludes women from meaningfully participating in public and political office. What can we do about this? Gender equality is the answer to many of these things. But in the meantime, you know, I always provide the big picture, and in the meantime, what can we do? Hold people accountable. Speaking of the governors who ordered the food, right? Who ordered the palliative for COVID-19. It is such a shameful act, if you ask me, right? Because why does anyone need to hold on to things that belong to the masses?
Absolutely.
Especially with the rate of inflation, with the way food is scarce and all of these things, right? What can we do about those things? We, the people, must continue to insist that we will not be governed like animals, that we will not be treated like this by the people that we have elected to speak for us, to stand in the gap for us, because all of us cannot be government officials. So we must pick the people that will go into that space, right? And this also takes me to even the bottom of it all. Poverty is weaponized in Nigeria, right? They keep us poor because they believe that poor people do not have time to
Omolara, I would really love to spend more time with you, and trust me, we're going to bring you back on the program, and we would also revisit the hoarding of the palliatives. But I quickly need I need to wrap this up. There's a message from Kemi which is going to lead to my last question for you. Kemi said, with all the insecurity in Nigeria, what is the government doing to stop this before 2023? If not, now wahala for election too. And that's from Kemi. And with that, I just want to ask you, what would be your message to the government at the federal, state, local levels on the need to secure lives and properties to avoid electoral violence as 2023 is near?
Now, the job of security, like I said, we keep finding ourselves in Nigeria dealing with long-term issues as emergencies, right? Insecurity should not be an emergency. The security of the state must be woven into the fabric of that community, right? It cannot be something that we can stop before 2023. But what I would advise the government to do is this: take the Nigerian life seriously, right? The absolute militarization of life in Nigeria is ridiculous. How can we reduce insecurity without complete militarization that gives room for more human rights violations? Empower the youth, right? Empower the youth. Stop weaponizing poverty. Do not believe that if you keep us poor long enough, we will be unable to have a voice in society, because the more we are able to participate in governance, the more we are able to be heard by the people we have put in power, the more agency we feel we have, the more we are desensitized toward non-state actors picking up arms. I really worry about the future of Nigeria, and I believe that our insecurity issues are, super vast. But all I would say is, because we cannot address all of this in the next 5 minutes, I would say that listening to the coalition, there is a coalition of women, human rights, activists and organizations that insist that the government must secure our lives. Unfortunately, it's not the job of private actors to secure the state. It is the job of the government. Get to work, people.
Thank you. Thank you. Stop weaponizing poverty. That is a very powerful message from Omolara Oriye. Omolara, thank you very much for talking on Women Radio. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Stop weaponizing poverty. Stop weaponizing poverty. So violence affects female candidates more than their male counterparts. We know that. And this reflects in our daily society, as women will stay away from leadership positions to protect their lives and family. Therefore, as part of the preparation for the forthcoming election in 2023, it is necessary that appropriate measures are taken by the government to domesticate and implement the VAPP Act to protect women, and this would serve as a deterrent to all forms of violence. There is need to secure the electoral environment for female candidates and voters. I'd like to say thank you to the two guests today, Charity Anaja, gender expert, and Omolara Oriye, a human rights lawyer. And of course to the production team led by Esther Alaribi, Tunde Oluwake, and Taiwo Adeleye. Towards an inclusive governance in Nigeria on Political Arena will continue next Tuesday at 2 p.m. on Women Radio, WFM 91.7. And we'd like to say thank you to the Nigerian Women Trust Fund and Osiwa, because towards an inclusive government in Nigeria, is the initiative of Nigerian Women Trust Fund and supported by Open Society Initiative of West Africa. Next on Women Radio will be the news at 3. Good afternoon.